we want to create a whole story for the artist and by the artist, um, in the most immersive way and the best way to see digital art.
Fred, fantastic to see you on Real Vision.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Now, I've been waiting for this for ages since we met in Paris. We had
Yeah,
such a good time. I thought I'd definitely have to get you on.
yeah, thank you so much.
So before we start, why the name Fvckrender? It's a brilliant name, but where did it come from?
It's actually a funny story. I When I started doing art in 3D about, let's say, 8 9 years ago. I'm not quite sure. I'm not very good with dates, but I was working on a very old MacBook Pro, uh, probably like a 2008 2010 MacBook. And it was so long to see the art, because when you do 3D rendering, you have the viewport, which is what I see, and you have the rendering. The rendering is always super long, and just to see like my art it would take like 8 hours just to see what it looks like, to realize it would look like garbage, so I would have to redo everything from start to finish and everything. So yeah. And when I started this, like I just started to learn like 3D just for fun, and just like basically to like learn something new and everything. And yeah, I started this Instagram to have like a place where I could share my progress and store my progress. And I needed to find a name. So I called it Fvckrender, never expecting it to be something, like that was just a way for me to like learn art and just like, yeah, for fun.
Let's go back in time and give me a story. How the hell did you get into digital art? What were you doing? What was your journey? And then we'll talk about your journey into NFTs and everything else because it's
Hmm.
fascinating.
Yeah, I think it all started at 17 years old. I'm from a small town called Magog. It's in the eastern township of Quebec, which is why I have this thick French accent. And yeah, I was like, I knew this guy Dan who was working on like films and doing like 3D art and stuff like this, and I was like, oh, that's so crazy! Like I didn't know that was a job, and I was very bad at school. I got placed in like difficulty classes since high school, since my first year of high school, and I quit high school at 15 or 16 years old. Don't fully remember, but I don't have a degree or anything, and like far to have a degree. I don't even have like my, in French it's secondaire trois. I don't have my secondaire trois, which is like eh, you're not allowed in society when you don't have these. It's like basically you cannot read. I'm joking, but yeah, that was how people would see me when I quit school. But so yeah, so I started to learn 3D that way. I did it for a month, and I hated it. I was like, okay, this is too complicated for me. I'm not smart enough for this. So I quit. A few years after, I met my fiance. That I'm still with her, Joe, that you actually met. We moved to Montreal, started to work in a restaurant, and many years later, I was doing a lot of cycling, and I had this bike accident, which left my left side completely numb for years, and still to this day, I still have some numbness in my arm. Um, but it was interesting because when that happened, and I'm the type of person that needs to do something constantly, like every waking hours, I need to do something. Like I cannot just sit still. I have difficulty watching TV, just to put you in perspective. Um, so not being able to do bicycle anymore, I was like, oh, I need to do something. So I need to do something that use my brain and just my head. And I remembered when I was 17 to like I was doing 3D art and stuff like this. I was interested, so I picked it up, and I was a little bit more mature, and I started to really like it and really like deep dive into this new universe for me, and which is art by itself.
So, did you know you were creative at this point, or was this suddenly the realization that your creative brain was better than your academic brain, and it was your gift, in fact?
Um, I always knew I wanted to do something creative. I never knew what it was. Like when I was 16 years old, I would just like make cardigan out of a sewing machine and like do tie dyes and stuff like this and sell it at my school. Like I always wanted to do something creative and stuff like this, but I never exactly knew what. Um, But yeah, I just like I spend too much time learning this thing now, and now it's my life.
And so when you started producing kind of, because you've got a very particular style with this highly rendered, incredible digital imagery, what did you do with it first? Because that was before NFTs, before you had a way of monetizing it. So you're probably thinking, how the hell am I going to make any money?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, like to me, it was just like to learn, and like after a moment, I was like, oh, like this action of me learning and doing art makes me feel good. And I was a very anxious person at that time. I lost my mom when I was 10 years old. I lost my dad a few years ago and everything. But when I lost my mom, I started to have like these panic attack a few years later, um, and yeah, like the childhood trauma. That I had a bunch of other stuff when I was young with my dad and stuff, but no need to go in details. But yeah, so I pretty much used art to like feel better, and it was really working. So to me, like I never really wanted to make money with this. I just wanted to like feel better and just like occupy my brain and do something, you know. Uh, but it's funny because after maybe 4 months, I started to have client work, which was crazy. And I had my first meeting, and I was like, people want to hire me for this. Like, this is so crazy. And like, I remember I went to a meeting in an agency in Montreal, and they were like, "Oh, we want this for a music video. Can you do this?" And I had no idea how to do it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's very easy actually." And like, I lied so much on this moment, but I knew that like if I didn't take that opportunity, like I would lose it, you know. And I didn't know how to do it. I did it. I learned how to do it, and I started to have more international job. I think my second gig was like Toki Munster. She wanted like a music video, and now been working a lot with her, and she's amazing and everything. And yeah, just like got client work basically out of this from Instagram.
Hey everyone, Raoul's Venture Crypto, it's really my flagship show. It's where I interview the best guests in the world, people you never get on another show. I think it's the best show in macro, crypto, and Web3 combined. In fact, that's what it does, it covers everything. But really, it's all about the revolution in Web3 and crypto. And I'd love it if you got it every week in your inbox. All you have to do is just click on the link below, pop in your email address, and you'll get notified every time it comes out. And you don't miss anything as you take my journey into the exciting new world of crypto and Web3. Thanks.
And so how did NFTs come into the equation? When did you learn about this and start
Yeah.
thinking this might be a medium for you to express yourself in?
Yeah, I think it was probably like early 2020, if I'm not wrong. And I was like, I was looking for something like this because for the longest time, like for 5, 6 years, I did commercial work, like client work, studio work, and stuff like this. But the reality is, I'm very bad at commercial work or client work. Uh, I consider myself more an artist. I was not very good at doing like commercial work. I was actually very bad at doing commercial work. And when I started to see NFTs and all that stuff, it was like, oh, that's an opportunity for me for to do art and not have to care about like what a client says or like whatever like thing they need me to do or execute for them or anything. So it was a it was like a I don't know how to say that in English, but it was like a bright moment when I saw my friends selling like their art. I was like, oh, this is insane. Like I always considered myself as an artist, but no one ever considered me as an artist. But now we have something to consider digital art, which was completely crazy to me. Like it was like mind blowing.
So what was your first step? So you see NFTs, you kind of get it and you think, okay, this is an avenue for me to
Yeah.
explore. What then, how the hell did you learn what you had to do to get your digital art on the blockchain and then to think about how does anybody know about it? How did that whole process go? Because I'm always fascinated because
Yeah.
you're an early pioneer in the big, movement of kind of fine art NFTs, digital art NFTs. So you're one of the people at the front who had to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of us can copy people like you. It's easier.
I mean, it was funny because like I was seeing like some of my friends, like Jason Abayer was the first one that I saw minting NFTs, amazing artists, and I was like, "How do you do this?" And I remember I went on Twitter and I was like, "Oh, this sucks so much. I think I missed the super rare train." Can you imagine how crazy it is that in 2020 I thought I missed the NFT train? Like, how crazy is this? I was like, oh, this is over for me. Like, everyone's already like on it, and I won't be on it. So I tweeted that out, and Super got me, and I sent my video application, which was very awkward because they wanted you to do like this introductory video of you speaking and everything, which was I always thought was weird still to this day, but so I did it. I went on Super. I minted my first piece, which was Rejuvenate, which was a very important piece for me because in my like client career, I did like couple burnout, and they really left a big mark on me. We can talk about this later, but they were very important for me, and one of the few pieces that I created during this burnout was Rejuvenate, Self Help, and many others. But so I wanted to mint this first piece. I put it for sale. No one bids on it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Like I at least I tried. I went to bed, and there was a bid war between Goltra and Yanis, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like it was so crazy. I wake up with and the auction stopped at I think it was 12 ETH. 12
Wow.
ETH, my first ever pieces.
No way.
It
And
was
nobody knew who you were, really.
I mean, they knew. I already had like a big audience on Instagram. To be fair,
Okay.
but they didn't really know who I was, and I had like a big like client list as well. Like I worked with Dior, like Swarovski, Supreme, all these big brands. I worked with them before NFTs, So that probably and clearly helped me for sure to get a good head start. But in the NFT space, no one knew who I was, which was very interesting. And so I was super excited. Right away, I minted another piece. I was like, "This is too crazy," and that piece sold. I remember there was a bid of like 6 ETH or something, and Bitcoin Profit, now a close friend of mine, I think he put like 20 ETH. It was like, and he sent me a DM. I was like, "I'm cutting all this bullshit. I win this piece," and it was just so crazy. I think I sold it for 25 ETH. The second
No
piece for
way.
25 ETH, and I was like, I was losing my mind. I was like, "This is so crazy! Like, I can't believe this is actually real." I made more in like 2 days than I made in like a year. Like literally, I was like shaking. I was shaking and super anxious because like it didn't make any sense for me. No.
So, okay, well, that's quite a good validation that maybe you're a good artist and people like the work that you do. So then what you start thinking, you're going to go full time into this and you're going to start creating art. Because again, people got to realize this is pretty early on. So there's not that many people
Yeah.
thinking in the same way. I don't think even people had gone to auction at that stage. So
No, no, that was pre people.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you make the decision, you see what's going on. What do you do next?
I went full on. Like I stopped taking client work and I was like, "This is what I'm doing now."
And your work has become incredibly successful and extremely collectible as well,
No.
which is, I mean, it must be amazing to you to see this suddenly.
Yeah, it's
The kid who couldn't get through school has now become one of the leading lights of the entire digital art space. It's just incredible.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice. I mean, for me, like it's crazy because I think like most people, we always focus on like not the negative stuff or anything, but like it's hard to like the journey is never done. So to me, I'm like, oh, this is like just the beginning. But I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm extremely grateful. Like it's just yeah, it's just so crazy.
So then you started iterating. You built a separate business or a studio that's attached, and also things like kind of PFP projects and to expand the footprint of the people because your work's actually quite inaccessible because it's expensive.
Yeah.
So you started creating other things for other people. Was
Yeah.
that journey different? Did you find you had different collectors and it was harder to deal with
Yeah.
these
Oh
people?
yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, and it's crazy because so I created I have three projects right now. I have Fvckrender, which is my art career, which is obviously something that I've been building for many years. I have Lucidia, which is this immersive marketplace for artists. So what we do there is like we create immersive environments for amazing artists to tell their stories in a more digital way. This is the focus of Lucidio, and we have many things that we're doing there, but like this is the main focus. And we have 90s Kids, which is a skate project where I started skating at 10 years old to like help with my trauma when I lost my mom and everything. And I always, me and Gay, my best friend, since that day, we always wanted to have our own skate brand, and it was the perfect opportunity to start it there. So that's what we're doing there. But the reality is, like with NFT project, is like the attention span is so short, and people have high expectation because they see Bored Ape and they expect you to be Bored Ape, you know. And it really affected me personally when I launched Lucidia because Lucidia is not something that can be built in 1 month or even 1 year. It's something that takes a lot of time. We have about 40, 50 people that have been working on Lucidia for a year and a half now.
Wow.
And we're not near where I want it to be, you know? Um,
What's your vision? What's your vision with Lucidia?
Yeah, so basically, right now, what we're doing, we're currently building the marketplace. We just shut down the immersive experience because we are remodeling everything. We have a bunch of we just got a new Unreal Engine senior devs to join the team, which is amazing. But we're building this immersive marketplace because as digital artists, I don't think it makes sense to view digital art on a thumbnail, you know, on a web page. For us, I want to create like this immersive experience and tell the story of the artist because when you go on Super or anything, you see the art and that's it. We want to create a whole story for the artist and by the artist, in the most immersive way and the best way to see digital art. That's really where we're focusing and like creating like this marketplace is just an add-on to this whole experience. And we're currently getting a space in Vancouver that is about 4,000 square feet. We're gonna turn this into a small cafe with the art gallery with a 360 Lucidia immersive experience where people will be able to see what's happening virtually but physically as well. So that's pretty much what we're doing at the moment. It's a lot of work. We're working with UCAN, Manifold, and amazing partners to make this a reality. But the reality is like it takes time, and everything started by myself as me alone, and now we have an amazing team of amazing people, which is insane.
So where does that go? So once you've created these kind of immersive storytelling experiences around art, how do I get involved in that without going to Vancouver?
Yeah,
How does that work? What's your
yeah.
vision there?
So okay, just to give like a little story of how it started. In the Nifty Gateway days, I started this project for Renderverse, which was an immersive way for people to see my art. That's it. And I picked up Unreal Engine, which is a game engine. I learned it about like 1 or 3 months, and I created this immersive experience. And it was actually pretty innovative because it was the first like Web3 type of immersive experience. So started there, had a lot of success. We started with the crystals. Fuck crystals were an amazing success. We released the fuck avatars right before the crash, unfortunately. So everything went a little bit down, and we had a lot of haters because when every crash it brings negative, you know. But that's I think it's amazing because we are able to keep building it. But it's all started there, and now what we're building is a pixel streaming services where people will just be able to go on the web page and immerse themselves on screen into this virtual world created by us for artists. Example, like Victor Mascara will have like his own virtual space there, telling his story because his story is amazing. A close friend of mine But our goal is really to shine lights on amazing artists, not necessarily like the most famous artists, but also like artists that we think have an amazing story, basically. Yeah.
And so it really is sort of part of your imagination of what the metaverse is going to be. It's a
Yeah.
fully immersive experience to get away from this 2D display
Yeah.
that we talked about, or the thumbnail, into something that is deeper storytelling, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I think storytelling is important because I think I have my own story, but imagine these millions of artists, their own story. And how can we like facilitate collectors to understand the story of an artist, you know?
With our Real Vision Collective project, we've been working with an artist called Yinkore, based out of Nigeria. And her stories are unique because it's
Yeah.
Nigeria. And
Yeah,
suddenly
exactly.
she starts selling art at 2 ETH or whatever. And she's like, I've just earned 2 months worth of wages. And she's a lawyer in Nigeria.
How
And
crazy is this?
I know. And she's
Yeah.
like, I'm now selling art on a global playing field. When before I'd have to sell it in an art shop in or
Yeah.
a gallery in Nigeria, and they'd never take me seriously. And now suddenly the world's open up.
Yeah.
The stories that are going to come from this space, as is your story, they're amazing because it's enabled people, which is why we all love Web3, because it's kind of leveled the playing field.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And like it personally changed my life, and like I really hope if I can change one person's life in this mission, like I won. That's literally how I feel about all that. Yeah.
So, talk to me about 90s Kids, because you just launched that just after I saw you in Paris.
Yeah.
I know you and Ian Rogers are both skaters,
Yeah.
and I can see the branding, and it's really unique and very cool.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that? Because I'm sure you've got a few plans there as well.
This project is so exciting to me because like I've been skateboarding my whole life. I cannot skate as much as I wish I could because I'm busy working and I'm getting older. So every time I fall, it's like hurting more. But skateboarding has always been like in my roots and my partner Gabe's root. And we want to create like this Web3 media entertainment business, basically. So what we're doing right now is like we're hosting like online contests, and these contests is we want to redistribute some money to like skaters because for a skater to make money is barely impossible. Like you need to win contests and everything, and it's a very challenging career, to be honest. And we want to help like good skaters to like be able to travel or like go to Barcelona and like have some footage. So we're hosting like these contests every month with cash price and NFT price as well. So this is one part of the whole thing. We're launching the 90s magazine, which is going to be very interesting, featuring amazing skateboard photographers. And a lot of like skateboarders are artists. So how can we like work with these amazing artists that share the same passion as us into like this sick like Web3 magazine of skateboarding, like it's like the Web3 trasher basically. So we're doing this every month. We have a burn mechanic almost every month. We have a burn mechanic introducing new characters, just to use like blockchain, like smart contract in a different ways, and like give like different roles and uh, not priorities. Priority is not the right word, but options for collectors. So yeah, we have this. We're launching the clothing company, which is 90s as well, and we already have. I mean, this is kind of secret yet, but we might have one of the biggest store in Quebec and pretty much Canada as well to sell our brand, which is amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's a very simple like project, but it's something that we really like take seriously, and it's something that we really want to build to be something that will help skaters and artists that are skaters as well.
Well, because it's kind of I think of it as the tokenization of the culture of skating.
Hmm.
So it's for the skaters, by the skaters,
Yeah,
around their culture.
yeah,
So it's not about collecting NFTs per se as being part of
yeah,
this, because, as you said, skaters, it's a hard thing if you want to try and compete or you don't have any money to do all of this stuff. And there's only a few of you at the skate park or on the streets.
Yeah.
and you want to meet other people, it's
Yeah.
a way of connecting them and then giving them a focal point. And I
Yeah.
think the idea
Exactly.
of the fashion brand is genius, because skatewear for a long time has been at the forefront of fashion,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
even the 90s idea relates to people who grew up. It's like a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
specific thing. It's
Yeah.
very clever.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I appreciate it, and it's something that we like building, and it's been so fun. Like just seeing like on Discord, like seeing like kids being able to talk to like actually good skaters. We have so many like good skateboarders on our Discord, like just sharing clips and just like hanging out and talking with other people and having like even like there's so many people that like don't skate, but everyone picked up a skateboard when they were kids. Everyone watched skate videos when they were kids. Almost everyone. So it's so, especially in the '90s culture, it's so like part of everyone, you know. So that's why we were like,
It's also what I love about skating. It's skateboarding. It's egalitarian. It's for everybody. You
yeah,
just need four wheels and a piece of wood,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
It's the same as football, English football, soccer.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's anybody anywhere can do it.
yeah,
And the barrier to entry is low. So it gives kids something to do,
yeah.
and
I agree.
really gives kids who live in inner cities something to do that's not involved in crime or other stuff. It gives them a sense of purpose.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. Like honestly, skateboarding got me out of trouble my in my during my childhood. Like that's for sure. Like yeah, I was literally spending 8-10 hours at the skate park like every day of the summer, like literally, if not more.
Look, it's amazing what you're doing. What's the next steps for you? You still continuing to produce art under Fvckrender,
Yeah,
and then building out Lucidia
yeah,
and building out 90s Kids, if that's not enough. I mean, I'm doing about 3 or 4 businesses. It's exhausting. But that
yeah. It's been pretty challenging, and honestly, like I think the most challenging part was like the whole market crash and like a lot of pressure on me to like deliver even more, even more, even more, and like it was really burning. I think like a lot of people like I think as a when you start a project and everything, you have a lot of like pressure of like you need to succeed like Yuga Lab did or stuff like this, where it's not sustainable to think that every project can have this level of
And
success.
I'm sorry, but people don't have the right to demand that you manage the price.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's not your job. Your job is to create great art,
Yeah,
projects that people want to be part of, and the price goes up or down.
yeah, exactly.
And I was speaking to, I'm sure you know Sergio Silva as well. I mean, he's launched his project Seize the Meebs, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
realised
yeah.
how hard it is, because there's a lot of people who just care about price.
It's
It's like,
crazy.
it
Yeah,
can't be about price.
I think that's the main thing is like there's so much I can do, and like the reality is like there's project that has no vision or anything that will pump even harder than my own project. But I don't think it's fair for I think like platform like OpenSeas and everything, it's fine, but I don't think like you won't buy butter at the garage, you know? Like it doesn't make sense for like I don't like to see my art on OpenSea per se. I think I prefer to see it on a marketplace that is dedicated for artists. I think the OpenSea interface is more like it looks like an eBay or like a Kijiji or something like this. It's more like you buy and sell. When it's art, it's more like you buy and you appreciate it and you sell it if you want, but you should always buy art because you like the art. And so many times I was like, oh, I bought this and price went down. And I was like, why did you buy it if you didn't like the art at first? Like like but yeah. But yeah, to come back to your question, I think the Lucidia and 90s Kids is doing pretty well. We're having amazing team on both sides, and they're gonna we're keeping like building this whole ecosystem, which is amazing. Not stressed for this. And as for Fvckrender, which is my art carrier, I'm releasing something called a fuck token, which is not which is ERC 721. So it's not really a token. But it's only gonna be available by burning, which is interesting, and gonna it's gonna help me because in the last few years um, I experimented a lot. So I released a bunch of collection, and I had a hard time saying no to collaboration as well, which I should have said no many times. But it's very hard when you have like these all these amazing friends that wants you to participate in their project and everything. But so what I'm doing is like my goal is to tone down the overall supply of every collection I've ever touched, pretty much, and bring back the focus to a core group of collectors, people that actually love my art and people that actually love what I'm doing as an artist. So this fuck token is going to be amazing artwork capped to X amount of supply, probably going to be quite low, only available by burning, which is interesting. And everything that I'm going to do in the future, you'll need this token to participate. So it's more like a participation token for everything I'll do in the future. And I've been doing more and more physical jewelries and physical art pieces, and all of these will be available by owning that token.
I think the stuff you're doing in the physical world is really interesting because a lot of people start with the physical world,
Yeah,
and then try and go into this highly rendered, beautiful 3D world. You started the other way around. It's like, no, I started digital and then I can produce it into physical. I just love that fluidity between two different worlds as
yeah.
if they're the same thing.
I love doing physical art. It's a new medium, and honestly, like I feel like a lot of like pressure from like floor prices and stuff like this really killed my creativity and over the last 2 years. Even though like I talk about that on Twitter, but even though if I had like the most success in the last 2 years, I probably felt the most depressed, like literally.
Of course.
But it doesn't mean I wasn't grateful for everything that happened. Like it just like I just felt like some pressure and stuff like
You
this. But
need control back. You know,
yeah,
even if
yeah,
you just said,
exactly.
I will produce one piece every 3 months, fuck you, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
You then own it again.
Yeah.
Because I think what you've done is you sold yourself a little too much,
Oh yeah.
and then you got caught away in it. Fine, that's okay. We all make
Oh yeah,
mistakes,
of
but
course.
coming back, I love this idea of this burning. So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
it's a membership of collectors, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the main goal in life is like you learn as you go. Like I'm far from being perfect, and I've learned so much in the last 2 years. And even though if like I was depressed, these were like the most amazing years of my life. Literally, like I grew so much out of this, and it's amazing because now I have full control of what I'm doing, and I think this token will be amazing because it's bring back like the attention of what I'm actually doing, and I'll be able to focus on more limited work, less frequent, and more passion again, if that makes sense. With
yeah, and you
physical
might
art.
even be able to occasionally do commission work for one of
Yeah,
your good collectors,
yeah.
where you do something interesting, you explore new avenues. I think you will love doing it. Question I wanted to ask you, because it was a conversation that was going on about a month ago, is what do you think of the Blur situation? I find this bizarre. I don't think this is good for the space.
Mm, I'll be honest with you. Like I didn't dive too much, but from my perspective, I think it's treating most of the project like shit coins, and I don't really like it because there's a lot of like amazing projects that are getting in that mix, like Renga or Cyber Brokers, where amazing artists are behind it, and it's literally like using artists as shit coins, and that really breaks my heart. And I think like OpenSea is not doing a favor trying to copy Blur. I think OpenSea should just be their own thing, and yeah,
Yeah, and also I just think I just have a very strong opinion about artist royalties. That how dare you not pay somebody for their work?
yeah,
And one of the big unlocks of Web3 is that an artist in perpetuity can get rewards for art
that's
that
the
they've
main reason why
gifted
we
to the
came in.
world.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think, how fucking dare they say, well, we're just going to arbitrage the price away because we want the business. That's Web2 all over again.
Yeah. But what can we do? And like if artists start to block marketplace, now artists are not Web3 enough, you know. So it's like it's a cycle. But yeah,
Yeah, it's really difficult to solve. I do think, and I can see there's a bunch of people trying to do stuff, whether it's G Money or whoever. There will be a better platform again, I think.
Lucidia.
Lucidia, well, there you go. You know, that's, yeah, it needs it. People deserve it, and they don't deserve what's just happened. And what's worse about the Blur thing, it's just all about incentivization to get airdropped a token.
How
So
crazy, right?
that's such false incentives. But, you know, but this is the point, is we are in this very fast moving space.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's experimenting, everybody's failing, everybody's learning.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where it's going. And that's kind of the fun of it as well.
Yeah. I remember like when I started like the fuck avatar collection, I was super hesitant to make it. I think that we capped it at 14,000, and the narrative back in these days were like, the next few months there's gonna be millions and millions of people coming. 15,000 won't be a lot of NFTs. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. But now, like with the market crash, I was like, yeah, that didn't make any sense, you know. But it's crazy because you don't know what's ahead of us, so you need to be very thoughtful and careful. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. But I think it was amazing.
I think the best answer is always be authentic. So, look, I don't know,
Yeah,
but I think we're going to try this. Let's
yeah,
see how it goes. People then can't misinterpret what you do because you've been at the forefront of experimentation and you should be allowed to experiment. Because if not, then what's the whole point?
yeah. I'm an artist. That's literally what I do. Like that's why I love NFTs and all that stuff, because like for me, like smart contract is a totally new blank canvas for me. Like working with smart people like Manifold and having Manifold on my side is amazing for me, because I can like actually experiment and use a blockchain and smart contract to like create these cool mechanics. So that's why I like experimenting so much, because it's literally a new canvas. It's a new canvas for artists.
And I'm kind of getting the impression that once video comes onto blockchain in a more usable manner, that's going to be a medium you're going to definitely move into.
Yeah.
Because video feels like it's a medium that's yet to be fully explored by blockchain because the file sizes are big, but
Yeah.
it's coming, and that's another going to be a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
Is, you know, how much of these whole experiences, these entire immersive experiences, can be tokenized themselves.
Yeah. Imagine having an actual Unreal Engine project that can be explored and changed. You can change the metadata in real time. That would be, yeah, it's coming.
Fantastic. So what are you most excited about this year? One is obviously cleaning up the community, getting all of the right people in it, so you get to be the artist that you are.
Yeah, exactly. I think that what I'm most excited is like very like make a line between what Lucidia, 90s Kids, and Fvckrender is, because these are three amazing different projects, but a lot of people think they're the same. And this is totally my fault, because communication is not my main skill. So I'm grateful to have a team now that helps me with this. Um, but yeah, I think like being able to tone down my ecosystem and very like curate my art more, and like very put more thoughtful effort in quantities and sustainability over a long period of time. This is really what I'm interested in, and the attachment of NFTs and physical art piece is something that I'm very excited. I have about like 5 physical artwork that are coming to life in the next few months. One that is 10 feet tall and some that are 7-inch tall, which is yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So
Listen, my friend, you keep experimenting. Don't let anybody stop you. You've been a pioneer, stay a pioneer, and we're all grateful for you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and thank you for coming on Real Vision. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to, catching up with you somewhere in the world again soon. We promised we'd do that. We just need to find a place. That was the one thing, just to leave on a thought, is there was something magical in Paris. And it was magical because there's artists, finance people, music people, fashion people, technologists, everybody all together with one degree of separation from each other.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't happen often. That's a movement.
Yeah.
And I know it's overused, but it's still early because 1 degree of separation, that won't last long. The fact
No,
that
yeah, no.
you and I can reach out to anybody in the world we want to speak to in the space immediately, in 5 years' time, it'll be impossible.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be possible either. I think I was talking about that to a couple of friends of mine. It's crazy how this space is so small and we need to enjoy every moment we have with our friends, because in few years there's a lot of people that won't be as reachable that they are right now. So you need to be very grateful for what we have right now, because it's very small and it's amazing. Because in few years there's going to be more chaos, there's going to be more fights, there's going to be more rivalries, there's going to be more groups. It's going to be bigger for sure.
Yeah, and right now, most people at the center just want to help each other.
Yeah.
And if we can just keep that ethos alive for as long as possible, we'll have the time of our lives. And the moment we lose that, which will happen,
Yeah.
it'll all change.
Yeah. I think so too.
All right, my friend. Great to see you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Fabulous conversation with Fred. For me, it's really important that as part of Raoul's Adventure in Crypto and part of Real Vision, we pay homage to the artists, because the artists have driven this. They've made it important for all of us. They've engaged millions of people in blockchain. And to be honest, artists are the people who really lead movements, whether it's music artists or artists, physical artists themselves. And I just think it's very important for us to understand their story too, because without them, we wouldn't have any of this space. So I'm also really interested that he is seeing this nexus of, overused the word nexus, but I'm going to use it again. This nexus between physical and digital. Those two worlds are merging. So that's one learning. The other learning is the metaverse, how it becomes the future digital representation of everything. How I think you can build brands from the ground up based around culture, which is what he's doing with 90s Kids. It's something I'm passionate about as well. I think that's super interesting. And then how he's thinking about the space itself, from having PFPs to the crystals to his really high-end art, and then how to get the right group of investors around to stop entirely financializing the space and to give the artists their control back. I think that's probably another mega trend that we can see in the future. So there's a lot of mega trends here. You just need to listen out carefully.
Hey visionaries, thank you for tuning in. For more free crypto content like this, head over to realvision.com/crypto. You'll get early access to the most brilliant minds in the space to cut through the noise, get in-depth analysis, and get you ahead of the curve with unbiased insights.